and hello. Welcome to Mombasa, Kenya. Today I am on a tour of this historic coastal city. Mombasa is the second largest city in Kenya. Our first stop on this tour is Fort Jesus, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. If you are watching my content for the very first time, welcome. My name is Cookie, an African travel content creator. Fort Jesus was built by the Portuguese in the 1500s to protect the port of Mombasa. Mombasa is located along the Indian Ocean. It is a significant trading center in East Africa. The Portuguese set up this fort when they saw Mombasa's strategic location as well as the minerals and resources that they could exploit, such as gold and ivory. The East Africa slave trade also happened at this fort. The fort's architectural design resembles a human body. I try and keep an open mind when I am on a tour because I am here to learn. But as I am walking, I am thinking the audacity to name this Fort Jesus is mind boggling after all the atrocities that happened here, from the slave trade to the trade in ivory. This is the history of Africa and it is also the history of the world. It is so important that we as Africans tell our stories from our worldview and perspective. For centuries, the history of Africa was told by Europeans from their perspective, and their narrative suited them. Our history, the history of Africa, began long before colonization. We owe it to future generations to also go back in time to tell them about ancient African kingdoms and civilizations. According to Wikipedia, Fort Jesus was captured and recaptured at least 9 times. The Omanis captured the fort in 1698. When I was in Nairobi, my tour guide told me that this part of Kenya is different from Nairobi. I see the influence of the Arab world everywhere in the religion, the way of life, the food, and also in the architecture. been following me for a while, you would know that I started telling the history of the African slave trade in Ghana, West Africa. Then I went to South Africa, and now I am in Kenya, East Africa, about to enter a slave dungeon. What strikes me is there's no sign outside that says slave dungeon. The sign says ammunition store. This is how important chapters in our history get eroded. There should be a sign outside that also says slave dungeon. Being in a slave dungeon always makes me reflect and think about the souls that had to endure the slave trade. I am taking a moment to look at the door of no return. This meant that enslaved people were then loaded onto boats and shipped off, never to return home. an important trading port in East Africa, Mombasa played an important role in the spice trade, dating back to the 12th century, with Arab merchants playing a role in establishing trading networks. This M symbol, which represents the M in Mombasa, takes from the history of the city, the history of the ivory trade. My time in Kenya is almost coming to an end, and I'm having time to reflect on the amazing experiences I've had here. And Kenya told its own story from my first excursion. And it is a story of sustainable development, conservation, and preservation. And Kenya is so beautiful, and it has some of the best beaches in Africa, wide sandy beaches and amazing islands. And you will have to watch my Kenya series to see all of this. There is one more episode coming up next time. Thank you so much for watching this episode. And if you are my loyal subscriber, thank you so much. Your support means the world to me. Please take care of yourself and may God bless you.